Hello, Bryony here from Kit Guru, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Roccat KONE AIMO gaming mouse, which is available for around £70. I've been testing this mouse out using two different mouse mats, the Roccat Kanga, which is available for around £8, and the Giant Tato XXL, which is a desk size mouse mat, and it's available for around £25. So the KONE itself is available in three different colours. You've got black, grey, and then this really beautiful white colour. So yeah, as I've mentioned before in other videos, I absolutely love white computer components, and as soon as I plugged in the Roccat KONE and the Emo lighting just lit up, I was instantly in love. I think the Roccat branding, the silver branding, is very tasteful. There's a great contrast between the white body and the black buttons, and the RGB strips down the side just look fantastic. The overall build quality is very good. I think the plastic used to construct the body feels very solid, and I was very pleased to see that it comes with a braided cable. This is quite a big mouse. The Roccat website mentions that it's made for people from medium to large hands, and being female, I do have quite small hands, and I think that the Roccat AIMO is definitely a little bit too big for me. I prefer to use a fingertip grip, and when I'm holding onto the mouse, I find that my fingers only just about reach the switches. I think if you're someone that often finds mice a little bit too small, then this mouse is going to be perfect for you. It would be great for people that have larger hands. I found the overall shape to be very comfortable, even though it was a little bit too big for me. It feels very natural to hold, and I like the indents on the side. I think it makes it much more comfortable. It doesn't have any rubber grips where you sort of on the thumb grip, and I think this might be a little bit of a problem, not because it's too slippy. I found the mouse perfectly fine to hold and sort of lift up and move around. It's more that the fact that I think the nice white coating might sort of wear off over time and become a little bit tatty. So not only is this mouse quite big, it's also quite heavy at 130 grams. It's definitely not going to be for people that prefer a lighter mouse. It has got quite a bit of weight to it. I didn't find it too heavy though, and it did glide really nicely thanks to the 5 pads on the bottom. The buttons on this mouse are Roccat's 50 million life cycle switches, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if these are the on-run switches that we've seen on quite a few different mice recently. They feel pretty much the same, very responsive with a good click. The mouse then has an additional 3 buttons on the side. I found them easy to reach for, but they're also well positioned so you don't accidentally press them. They feel very responsive with a good click. The bottom button is the rather cool easy shift button, and that changes all the buttons on the mouse to a secondary function. So by default it turns them all into media control keys, but you can reprogram them to do pretty much anything. The scroll wheel on this mouse has a soft touch rubbery coating, and it glides really smoothly with noticeable increments. You can adjust the scroll speed in the Swarm software. It's also 4D, so it tilts side to side, great for flicking between different weapons in game. Below the scroll wheel you have 2 buttons which can be used to change the DPI up or down between 5 different settings which can be programmed within the Roccat Swarm software. The sensor used on this mouse is Roccat's Owleye optical sensor. This is a Pixar 3361 sensor. The DPI is adjustable in 100 DPI increments up to 12,000 DPI. Roccat claims that this sensor has one-to-one tracking and is optimised for 200 to 3000 DPI. I think this is fair, as I can't imagine many people use a DPI setting outside of that range. I've been using this mouse for gaming, photo editing and sort of day-to-day general use. I've been testing it on 3000 DPI, and I found it to be a really good sensor. There's no noticeable acceleration or jittering, and I think it's fair to say that it stands up to the claims of having one-to-one tracking. It also has a very low lift-off distance. I would say it's below a millimetre, and that's perfect for those of you that like to play FPS games on a really low DPI. You can even calibrate the lift-off distance to get it to the lowest possible setting for the surface that you're using. So overall, I think that the sensor on this mouse is really excellent. It's going to be great for gaming on, and it's also perfect for day-to-day use. So I've moved you in a little bit closer so we can take a look at the Roccat Swarm software. And this software is nice and easy and intuitive to use, and it works with all the different Roccat peripherals. So you can see at the top that I've got my mouse plugged in, and I'm just on the illumination tabs because the RGB on this mouse is absolutely fantastic. It looks really beautiful, and there's quite a few different sort of unique settings on here that I think take advantage of the RGB lighting. So if I just go on to the list here, we've got Colour Wave, one of the more classic ones. There's one called Snake. There's Fully Lit, which is basically just stationary lighting. And there's Heartbeat and Breathing. And both of these look really cool. They're quite a natural sort of effect. If I click onto this one, I've got the auto apply feature turned on. So you give it a few seconds and then it appears on the mouse. And you haven't got a huge amount of customization, but you can change the speed, the brightness, and the different colours as well. And then they've got a few different themes to choose from. So it's not a huge amount of customization, but I think it's going to be enough for most people. The star of the show of the Roccat KONE AIMO is the Emo Lighting System. So I'll just read out to you what Roccat says it is. So AIMO is a state-of-the-art intelligent lighting system that reacts organically to your behaviour without the need for extensive configuration. It is enriched by the apps and devices you use, presenting fluid, nature-inspired scenarios. So I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I have noticed that the lighting has sort of changed slightly over my time using the Roccat KONE. I mean, it must sort of like detect the way you move your mouse or something, or what sort of like games and things you open, and it changes the lighting, but it does look really nice. If I then go on to the AIMO tab, you've got a few extra options. So I've got it turned on, it's activated, and it sort of tells you your level as well. I think you get more level if you have more Roccat peripherals plugged in, or sort of the more you move your mouse, but I haven't really noticed that mine's gone up over the sort of course of the week that I've been using the mouse. So you've got Roccat Talk and Alien FX, and those two different programs basically mean that the mouse will react to what you've got on screen or what sort of game or program you open as well. So that's quite cool. You've got reactive lighting. You've then got the options to configure with other Roccat peripherals. I don't think there's many supported devices. Yeah, you've only got one keyboard, one mouse and one headset at the moment. Roccat have got quite a big range of different peripherals, so hopefully they'll add a few other ones in. Yeah, it lets you just change a few different effects, so sort of like clicking with the mouse. I don't think we're going to get much of effects because I haven't got a keyboard or anything plugged in, but I mean it does sort of move. When I click it, it changes colour. But yeah, I think to get the full effect of that one, you'd probably need like the keyboard and headset as well. But yeah, overall, I really like the sort of AIMO. It's definitely very unique compared to other RGB. No other company sort of claimed that the lighting is sort of a living entity that changes with over time with what you're doing with the mouse. So yeah, that's quite cool. I really do like the RGB. So if I go back onto the sort of like main settings, so if I go on to the settings tab, we'll take a look. There's loads of different customization that the software gives you, which is really nice to see. And you've also got the option to hover over the little information option, and it means that if you're not too sure about a particular setting, almost like Googles it for you, and it's within the software, so it's nice and easy to tell what it is exactly you're adjusting. You can also pin, in this pin tab, your most used settings, so you don't have to go scrolling for all those different tabs trying to find the thing you want. If you know you're always switching between different DPI, here we go, or if you always want to be changing different macros and things, you can pin them straight on here. I'm going to unpin that one because who changes the Windows pointer speed? Yeah, so macros and DPI switcher. But yeah, so we've got the option to change the scroll wheel speed, like I mentioned earlier. You've got the option to change the tilt speed, so the 4D mouse tilt, Windows pointer speed, DPI switchers, you can switch between those 5 different DPI settings, and also the double click speed. This is the button assignment tab. So this was where you're going to come if you want to set up some different macros for the different buttons on your mouse, or you want to change what they do. So we can change what the tilt left button does. So you can assign a macro, assign a hotkey, assign a timer, basic functions, so page up, page down sort of thing, advanced functions, internet, multimedia, open a program, open a document, Roccat functions, system OS functions, or you can just disable it completely. So there is loads of options on there. And then you've got the easy shift profile. So it's currently like the default is set to change your media, but obviously you can set it up to do exactly whatever you want. So it's quite cool. You can see everything there. It's easy to get to, easy to use. Down the bottom here, you've also got the macro manager. So there's quite a few different sort of programs and applications that they've got sort of preloaded on there for people to change the macros for that particular game. So that's quite nice to see, because obviously I haven't got all these installed. It's just sort of like random ones that Roccat have chosen, I suppose, and they've yeah, put those on there for you to change the different macros and things. And of course you can like record macros for different things. And then you've also got the profile manager. So you've got 5 different profile slots along the bottom, and if you go into profile manager, this mouse actually has, sorry I didn't click on it then, this mouse actually has onboard storage, so you can drag and drop whatever profile you want to use onto the onboard storage. So when you take that mouse with you, your little profile will go along with it with all your different settings on. So yeah, that's quite nice and easy to use, and you can also import profiles as well. And then if I go on to the advanced settings tab, it gives you options like the polling rate. You can completely reset the mouse. The distance control unit, so I said earlier this mouse has a really low lift-off distance, which is really good. So you can choose to use one of the very low or low presets, or you can customize your own. So this works just as it should do. I will actually show you how to do it because it's just so quick and easy. You just spin the mouse around for a few seconds. It says 10 seconds. So spin it around, spin it around, spin it around, and then whatever surface you're using, it does some sort of like magic, and ta-da, it is now calibrated, and that lift-off distance is as low as it can get. Angle snapping, you want that off, it's off by default. And then sound feedback, which is quite a cool feature. I've got it set for the DPI switch. So if I change my DPI up and down, you have a little quite nice voice in your headset that's like DPI 1600 or whatever you change it to. Yeah, I quite like that because you can tell sort of where you are in your DPI settings. If you're in a game, you can sort of tell what you're sort of flicking between. You can change it for the volume and for profile switching as well. And you can set the volume. I mean, some people are probably going to find that pretty dang irritating, so you can turn it off, but I thought it was quite a cool feature. Another feature that this software has, but it's a little bit of a downer because I can't actually get it to work, and that is the Swarm Connect feature. So it basically means that you can download an app on your smartphone. I think it works on if you've got an iPhone or an Android. I tried it on my Android and I cannot get it to work. The app opens up and it detects my computer on the network, but when I go to connect, it just gives me an error, and Roccat have tried to be really helpful and trying to get it sorted out for me, but nothing we've tried has worked so far. So hopefully they can get it fixed in an upcoming update. I have noticed on the Play Store there's a few similar comments of people can't get the app to work, so I'm not sure if it's sort of broken for everyone or whether it's just something to do with some weird bug somewhere. But yeah, hopefully Roccat can get that up and running. It's a little bit of a gimmick, but it'd be quite nice. I quite wanted to try it out, so I was a bit disappointed that I couldn't get it to work. But I mean, everything else on the software works absolutely fine. I think overall it is some really great software. So I mentioned at the start of the review that I was also taking a look at 2 different mouse mats, the Roccat Kanga and the Roccat Tato. These are fabric mouse mats, and I think the branding is done really nicely on them. They are very tasteful with the blue Roccat logo in the bottom right hand corner. The fabric surface allowed the cone to glide really nicely. It's not quite as soft as you get on mouse mats like the SteelSeries QCK surface, but it did the job just as well. On the bottom of the mouse mats, they both have a very similar rubberized base to them. The Tato is actually a little bit thicker and it's bright blue, whereas the Kanga is a bit thinner. They both did the job just as well though, and I didn't find any problems with them sort of slipping around on the desk. The Kanga is available for a very reasonable £8, but I do actually prefer the desk size Tato. It's got the thicker rubber base to it and I find it more comfortable to lean my wrist on. I also think it's a very reasonable price at £25 for a full-sized, table-sized mouse mat. Overall, I really like the KONE AIMO. I think the Roccat has done a really good job. It's great to look at, has excellent build quality, and I think it's going to be really comfortable for people with larger hands that like a mouse with a little bit of weight to it. The Owleye optical sensor is also excellent, and the software mostly works well. At £70 it is sort of at the higher end of the market, but I definitely think that it's worth the investment. If you like this video from Kit Guru, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from Kit Guru, hit the subscribe button.